Hi YouTube, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good. I shared in my community and on my Facebook. It's called Hermetic Demiurge Machion. Um, with it's Dr. Justin Sledge and Dr. David Lithwa, and they're talking about the different religions came out of that were in the area of Egypt, uh, Greece, Crete, Rome, that type back in them days. And people that were talking about the different spiritualities and people, even back then. I'm thinking to myself, well, who could ever prove? I mean, through language, we're getting really close, and that's why I shared this video in particular. I will link it in here. It's so interesting, the um, correlations with things that in religions, how people, like, why did they start thinking one way versus another? And like I say, who could ever prove the oldest religion on the planet? And then again, would that mean that the oldest one was the most appropriate one? Maybe not necessarily. But then you have people that believe that the Holy Bible is the Word of God. Even if it's been mistranslated, they don't care. Well, I'm sharing scholars with you that do care about the truth and want to get down to what those words say, no matter when the texts were wrote or who they're written by. That's an important issue to me. So anyway, so that's what I'm thinking about today. I'm also hoping that whatever you're doing this weekend, you're enjoying yourself or relaxing or being with the people you care about, that's cool. Or it would be cool, I guess, you know. I don't know. I've really never experienced slightly here and there in my life people that I have a somewhat close connection with, but nothing nothing really very uh satisfying, and I don't mean that physically either. That that's a dime a dozen. No biggie. That's my outlook on that. Oh, to my friend Miss Ruby Star Diamond, Kathleen, happy birthday, young lady, and many more. Thank you for always being around. I think you are anyway. Um, I lost a couple subs. I always wonder what was the last straw for these people. Maybe me saying that I might become satanic, which I never will, because even if it were permissible in the eyes of society, I mean, you can do whatever you want to do if that's what you call satanic or whatever. But I enjoy being in control over myself, my ego, my thoughts. Uh, you know, I just would rather be in control of my faculties than not be, you know. So, cheers, everybody. I still want to know if Satan himself thinks there's an afterlife. I'm going to tell you he knows damn well there is, and he's not telling you that. Because you will keep reincarnating, but you're not going to have flesh. That game's over, people. You know, that's something that the Dark Cabal has taken energy from God and didn't give it back in any way. It's like if I share um, coffee with you and then I come over and I'm out of coffee and you're not going to give me any left. Or if I'm almost out and I say, hey, I'm getting depleted here, and they're like, well, that's your problem. You know, that's the equivalent. So well, it's way worse than that in all reality. Absolutely worse, you know. I still have a theory that, and I can't prove anything, and I've seen documentations to it and whatever, but that we're supposed to be lifting those that are, like, if their spirits are saddened, we're supposed to give them a little bit of insight of, yeah, my spirit is saddened too, but I'm not going to throw God away because um, I need to have the education enough to understand what this is all about. And if I just shut it down midstream, your access to the whole picture is gone at that point. And then you're really lost. That's what's coming up for people, you know. It really is. People, yeah, this is the age of enlightenment. This is our apocalypse, you know, the lifting of the veil. But what are we going to see once we lifted that veil? Are we going to see a pure religion that is the Word of God, that is the veil over the innocence of children that is being taken through mind control and conditioning through these scriptures? Are we supposed to just ignore these things or share them with other people that are going to be understanding what has happened to you, what has happened to me, you know, giving the innocence in all of us a voice? Religions can't give us this voice. We can share this voice. That's the Christ spirit. That's the real Christ sharing the truth. Your book has really stifled and diminished the human spirit from connecting with God. It's made it more difficult for you. Like, especially you're going to go to some priest, just say, and put your soul in the hands of another human being that says they have the authority of God on earth over you. And you don't see anything wrong with Christianity like that. There's all different kinds of Christianity, don't get me wrong. I'm a believer that um I think the spirit of the first children that were reincarnated out of their natural element for greedy people, lazy people, that's an anger that got out of control. And I think we can help control that. I really do. There's some people think, well, this is just a learning phase and it's always going to be just like that. I don't think always is God's plans that people would have to go through such excruciating stuff in order just to live. But I do believe that there are certain things within us, integrity, that certain things we naturally wouldn't do unless we were kind of coached or advised or ill-advised to do something. It's like when you're a little kid, if you see your parents acting out um, sexually with different partners or whatever, or one's a thief or one's a liar or whatever, how is that going to form you or I as a child with our malleable brains? What is that going to do to us? And yeah, we grow and we forgive. Typically, we forgive things that have been done to us. But sometimes, there really isn't that spot of there's things that are unforgivable from one human to another. And this is part of conditioning that's been going on for over 2,000 years, that people are taught to not stand up for themselves in dangerous times. And this is what I'm trying to put it into, you know. Yeah. I was talking about Satanism, and I know just like Christianity, there's different cults in Satanism. You have like, I know I rented a house. What a nightmare, from people that were what they called the Black Church, the Satanic Church, and these people were um, sexual misfits, had lack of self-control, and I don't believe they believed in afterlife. So they figure, well, do what you're going to do here because you're only doing it once. But that isn't the truth. You're going to have to keep doing it till you get it right. Yeah, it's beautiful being a rebel. I'm the most rebellious thing you'll ever meet, except for I have moral integrity, that lines that I won't cross, you know? Then you have like Antoine LaVey type Satanism. Um, and then you have Aleister Crowley. Um, but that's still not like okay, like the part of Satanism that is like necromancy, or like the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which is like a recipe for life, kind of mis titled, but not that I practice it. But Christians practice that continuously. They're waiting for that resurrection that already happened, you know. But they keep waiting. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for to recognize that we can stop the innocent from being harmed on this planet that is being harmed by these institutes? Um, when more people recognize how these have been used as tools in a craft to keep you submerged, that's when. But if people won't listen to true translations. There's books coming out now of things that are being translated that had been mistranslated, but they're being translated by honest scholars that are going to show you it's just not like writing a book and then you have to take it for its word. It's going to be the word in its true form and showing you how that was formed. I mean, reading it out of the original text, not putting it into another language, reading the originals, you know. That's, I don't care who says, well, um, it's written in German, so that's good for me. No, it's not. It's getting twisted all the way along through many different lines, and each person embellishes their own little thoughts through the generations on this new translation. And people are like, well, I like the new version of this. Yeah, because you're too lazy to go back and learn a language that would allow you to read the first version, you know. They say, okay, well, there was Hebrew and Greek and Latin and other languages in the first scriptures. Yeah, to afford people that were like intermarried and that different time thing to afford them to be able to have access to the reading material. But when you have a person of Hebrew heritage in Greece, they're speaking Greek. So even the Greek scholars that were of Hebrew descent back then were still Greek speaking people writing the Septuagint. There's argue, well, what came first, the Hebrew or the Greek? Well, they were in Greece. That's where these documents were written. They were not written in Jerusalem or Israel, not even Egypt, not at all. None of that was documented. Not by the Israelites. Oh, and I've heard it several times, and these are not Greek scholars that say the Hebrew Septuagint. A Greek scholar will say that the Septuagint was written in Greek with inserts of a dead language of Hebrew, which was Paleo, neither Hebrew or Greek. So, but the limited nature of a verse in Hebrew or English or anything else doesn't give you the complete story. Nothing's cut out of the original text. Nothing's changed or translated or anything. It's all just right there. And oddly enough, being 1,000 years older than what you're reading now, at least, oddly enough, it isn't teaching you the same thing that is being said in the original documents. So it's pretty important to understand, no matter what religion you're going with or whatever, for whatever reason, that you are not reading, you're reading a made up story to get your money. They they're not saving your soul. No, they aren't. I'm not saying there's never been a preacher or pastor or priest or none of them that hasn't helped people, but yeah, that is not that's not what's going on with the religious money scamming machine, you know, especially if you're taught to turn the other cheek and to just forgive. No, we have jails for criminals. That's what we do. That's why we have a justice system. I'm not saying you can do anything to anybody, their body. I'm saying if somebody's acting criminal, they need to be incarcerated. We just don't give it a pass. You can forgive it. It's best off for you if you do. But you don't have to associate and accept. You don't accept abuse. Not ever. Not back then and not now. And God is your retribution. You have something dirty happen to you, they'll get theirs. Oh, they do. I see it continuously. But it is the mere fact that we're living in energy that's supplied to us out of love. And most of us don't give a second thought to that energy. People just think it's expendable, you know. They say, well, energy can't be made or destroyed. You sure about that? Something tells me something's a little out of our scope of science understanding with that statement, because this is all too incredible for us to really say we can have a whole understanding of what God's capabilities are. Nah, no way. Just stop it. You know, you can't tell me that energy can't be destroyed because that it will go somewhere else. Mm. Yeah, on this plane of existence. It's a cyclical, did I say that right? Cyclical thing, ongoing, perpetuating, yeah, but not entirely. There's some things that are, oh, I guess it could be transformed too, but I still believe there's energy that can be destroyed that thinks that it can't be. That's just like people think, well, the world is forever. Maybe not. What then? Do you care about the future? Well, 2046 is coming up pretty quick. Where are you going to hide when this thing affects your hearts? They think in their little lead-lined caves that they're going to be okay. There's nowhere they can hide from energy. Can one energy overpower another? Obviously so. Can it? So that tells me it has the power to diminish. And being that energy can be cast somewhere, that doesn't mean it couldn't have been destroyed instead. It was just that that energy had the opportunity to appreciate the gifts or not, you know. And for the record, for the person, and I don't know that this person, and I'm not going to name names, entirely feels like that or whatever, but a lot of people do, that they're just like in the mindset to like get it on with the whole world and get the away from me is my response to that. No, everybody doesn't think like that, you know. Some of us would be satisfied with one faithful, loyal person. But the ones that do have that feeling like they have to experience the whole world. Wow. You're all over the place, people like you. And maybe you are one like that. Maybe you are experiencing yourself. Maybe you are that part of a mechanism that they call God experiencing himself. Maybe you are. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm a part of something like that. I feel really independent. That's why I can relate with the rebel thing. It's like you'll never encourage me. It's like one of my shining moments through my academics. I was told that I was incorrigible. They actually wrote that on my report card in fourth grade because this thing that called herself a teacher pinched me. Well, you're not going to encourage me with shit after that. I was so tired. I had been up all night long cleaning ducks and geese. My dad brought home from Canada. We were up until 3 in the morning plucking feathers and dunking them in paraffin wax and getting all the pin feathers out of them and wrapping them up, cleaning them, wrapping them up and putting them in the freezer. I was so tired and I rested my head on my desk and this animal pinched me with their long red fingernails and right in this spot too. Like, okay. And then I got, and yeah, it was somewhat of a war. I had somewhat of a war with all those teachers, but that one was, well, I had one fired too because I made her slap me. But yeah, who's got the power? It's true. So my war with people started pretty young, is what I'm trying to say. So trying to encourage me in another mode of thinking or whatever is never going to work. I have had a one-track mind, God and I, my entire life, no matter what, no matter what, except that I don't want anybody in my life that needs to experience the physicality of everybody. I just don't. Just for the record. So, and I know a lot of people feel like that. Or they're just looking for the next best thing, always in search of, never satisfied. That's why a lot of people, just like when you're alone, you're alone. Who's going to do anything to you if you've always had your own individual thoughts that nobody could ever penetrate? You know, they can make you go um, to church, or they can make you um, join a club or whatever. If you're a little kid and your parents make you do things, that maybe you're not really wanting to do, like modeling school. That was what a waste of fucking time. I wasn't going to do their bidding like that. Get the hell out of here. Like I'm going to smile on command for somebody. That's never going to happen. You know, shit like that. That there was absolutely no reason to put me through some of that shit. You know, I was petrified too, to have to get up on stage. I didn't mind, like, if I was like a school play or at the church or playing an instrument or even ballet, whatever. I was all cool with that. But when I had to get up there and try and um, keep my sexuality to myself and out of the fucking, excuse me, out of the heads of the pervs, including my mother, or wanted me to call it mother, all of them, just absolutely sick human beings is what I sensed, it's like, that was freaky, and it was scary. But anyway, but I still never lost my way or lost my mind. I was always in search of for those that one person actually that had that mindset that could know my mind and not play with it, not play with my heart. So I'm really leery if somebody were to say, "Hey, I love you." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, right. Now what? What's next? And what do you want?" you know, it's like some people will call here and you don't really say hello. You pretty much just ask them what they want, you know. Well, I'm going to share that video with you all. I hope you take the time to listen to the connections of the religion, the languages, what these people are, men and women scholars, are trying to show people that it really is a conditioning, operational thing that really has nothing to do with our Father at all. But in the stories, if you want the true stories, they have to be read in their original form, and you have to listen to people that have that knowledge. You can't listen to a Hebrew scholar tell you what ancient Greek is. It just doesn't fly. You know, you're not going to hear the Greek come out in the English or the Hebrew. You're not going to get the gist of the story at all. You know, why did Jesus love Mary most? It was said because her understanding of the Father was greater than any of his disciples. Yeah, well, men don't want to hear that, but it's in the book. Yeah. But Mary wasn't really her name, and by the way, her being a whore or being associated with Eve doing something wrong, all of that, it's all a lie and it's been disproved. So these people, if you hear them doing that, you'll know where they're coming from, you know. And I, I'm going to say it like it is. Women, you know this is true. Shut a man down who wants you and see what he does after that. How's he going to treat you? What's going to happen? You know what I'm talking about. Deny some guy who wants you. Yeah, they have a tendency to lie. I don't have to name names, but there's one, oh, about 40 years ago. I threw him out in the middle of the night. Well, he had a tendency to lie to me about me after that. Go figure. Why would that be? You know? Huh. Damned if I could figure it out. That's what's going on, people. So it will be getting to the bottom of this through language, and only the brave, honest, truthful people will be the ones, and the whole world's going to be turned upside down with this. Um, yeah, we're taking back the scriptures. Yes, there is a God. You darn right there is. But those scriptures don't belong to the Christians or the Jews. Oh, anyway. All right, everybody. Have a really good night or day wherever you're at. And if you like your little fairy tale book, there's nothing I can do to help you. If you're going to listen to minds that want to take that time and reading documents in other languages isn't for the faint of heart, especially if you have somebody so skilled like Dr. Hillman, so fluent. What a master, you know. And if you want to hear some truth, he had a really wonderful Lady Babylon last night. If you want to hear some truth out of the scripture, the actual scripture without English translation, but the actual words from a professional, it's in my community. The same with this video I'll be sharing here. I just want to show you the diverse amount of people around the world that are doing the very same thing and saying the very same thing to everybody else. It's like, we love you, we're walking in truth, we believe. Some believe there isn't a God, some do. But there's academics that no matter what, you're not going to take our faith away. You know, those are the ones that I want to gather. I also want to gather um, I I want people to know that your integrity does matter, your moral structure, and what you allow in your life personally, even who we associate with. It's a really big deal. It is. We're no better than those we have fellowship with. We have to determine what is low and what isn't low. One thing that isn't low, no matter where it comes from, is the truth. So that's all I care about, people. So not letting people be deceived, you know, and letting you know there's still a God, and yes, there is an afterlife, depending on what you want. If you're happy the way things are in your life right now, enough that you would want to do this again, and you don't have, there's no ramifications for anything you do. Oh, being satanic is probably your best avenue, you know, having loyalty to the one true God. That's my best option. So everybody's different. But I do love everybody. I'm not going to let the people that are going, letting their egos go, I'm not just letting them go. I'm giving them the opportunity to know what they're doing before they approach that. Because it comes natural. It takes discipline to control yourself. But once you have that under wraps, it stays submissive. So, anyway, have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.